Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome if this is your first time. I haven't posted in a while, had a ton of things going on. I'm sure everybody else did, but we're here, we're back. It's summertime and hopefully we can post quite a few more videos this summer, doing some fun stuff. So today's video is going to be something that was a request. I had a bunch of requests on videos that I've done, stuff on the go-kart, a lot of requests on that PW80. Today's video is going to be torque specs for all of the parts inside of the 80 on the engine. We'll do a video on the tuning of that carburetor from the first fire, and then once we get those two videos we'll probably move on to the go-kart, do some upgrades on that, and then if you look behind me, there's that 80 sitting there. We got a few other things. I bought a little 50 off a guy. I don't know if you can see it back there, but I got a CB650 motorcycle, and we bought a couple other little toys that are hanging out back in the garage down back. So without wasting any more time, let's go ahead and get these started and we'll get this engine torque spec going. Alright, so first things first, I got the engine down here. I'll show you guys that. It's just another engine I had lying around. I took it all the way apart. I didn't do a crazy inspection, checked everything. It was already in good shape. I just wanted to really just seal it back together. And I showed you how to do that in the last video, so all the internals, the transmission and everything like that, that's already taken care of. So on this video we're just going to focus on torque specs. So I know in the last video I used, I think, stainless steel screws. So this time I went ahead and ordered a kit off eBay. It was a PW80 engine bolt kit. Came with a lot of hardware. I'm not going to use most of it. But you got bags in here for the intake, carburetor, oil pump, covers, and the crankcase screws, bolts. Each kit comes with all the bolts you need, plus a washer and a nut for each. But we're not going to use those washers and nuts, so if you got a bucket lying around, toss them in there. Now you have spare sitting around. So I'm going to go ahead and show you a picture on the specific layout, because there is 3 different sizes for these crankcases. There's going to be 3, 1, and 6. So I'll pop a quick picture, and it should have all the sizes and the direction we'll go, and then we'll go ahead and throw them in. Alright, so this is that little map that I used in the last video, or maybe one of the videos. I think it was the splitting the case video, but regardless, it's pretty much the same thing. Just helps me figure out where all these bolts are going to go. It's useful for if you when you break it down and you have your stuff in a parts bin or something. Helps you remember where they go. You can look it up. I think it's in the manual, might not be, but you can also look that one up online real quick and real easy. So what we're going to do is throw these bolts into the corresponding holes right here on the case. We'll work our way around and grab the 2 in the middle. So I like to start here with the single, so we'll put the single in. And then the ones labeled 6 just means I have 6 of those ones, so I'll grab one from the 6 pile here, and then so on and so forth. So we'll go 3, then 6, and 6 again, 6 again, 6, 6, 3, and the last one goes here in the middle. So we're going to torque those down. One thing I got here, I got them in the manual here. They are 8, let me check again, 8 Newton meters. You can just convert it to foot-pounds if your only has foot-pounds, and I looked that one up. 8 Newton meters and be 5.9 foot-pounds. I'm using the click type, so I set it to 5, and then I roll it over to almost the 1 digit, so that makes it right below 6. So it's not going to be perfect, not going to be 100% accurate, but it's going to be close. If you notice, when you're looking in the book, not many of these things are in crazy Newton meters. I think the heaviest one looks like engine drain bolt, so your oil bolt, and your flywheel mounting nut is your biggest. That's 50 Newton meters. So you don't have anything crazy on here, so just make sure you don't over tighten anything. So let's go ahead and get these 10 tightened down to 8 Newton meters or 5.9 foot-pounds. And make sure we get it. There we go. So I'll go all the way back around again, starting here. So that's all 10 of the case bolts. I really like the way that looks with just the Allen heads there. Nice and tight. And they just look clean. If you remember in the last, see if I got one. In the last engine we did, I used these stainless steel pan heads. They kind of took up a lot of space. They look kind of funky out here. And I think on the one, it maybe prevented this because it was sticking up. But if you can see that, that's flush. And that's going to be where the engine damper mount goes there. So, I really like this kit. Like I said, check it out. I picked it up on eBay. It's like 30 bucks. Might have been 25. But go ahead and check that out. So, let's flip this over. Actually, we'll work on the stator side. So, we'll go ahead and start putting in the stator plate. And then we'll flip it over and go on to the clutch side. Alright, flipped you up. Like I said, next thing we're going to do is the stator plate. So we'll go ahead and set the plate in, get the grommet lined up, get your holes lined up, screws lined up. And this one's going to be 7 Newton meters. So I looked that one up. It's going to be 5.16 foot-pounds, which isn't very much. So we'll go ahead and use the same setup. There was the first click. I don't know if you can hear that. And same thing. A lot of down pressure. And that clicked right before the engine moved. So I don't want to get too crazy with that. You can see they're a little worn. If anybody knows what actual size screws those are, go ahead and let me know down below in the comments. It doesn't say in here what kind they are. It just gives you the foot-pounds. So we got that. Next thing we'll do is go ahead and throw on the actual flywheel. So this nut's going to be a 17 mil. And like I said, this is going to be the heaviest torque, I think, on the whole bike. So it's going to be 50 Newton meters, which we just looked up and it was 30, double check here. It's going to be 36.8 foot-pounds. So set the wrench here. And I might have to stand this one up a little. And there we go, 50 foot-pound. We'll double check. And we're good. So, that's your stator, flywheel. Back that back out. Get our towel out of the way. Everything's running good. So, we're pretty much good on this side. So, we'll go ahead and flip this over and do all the stuff on the inside of the clutch side. Alright, so on the clutch side, I think there's about 8 or 9 things we're going to put in. You got your plates, your holders, your covers, obviously your clutch, and then your main drive bolt as well. Real quick, this one in here is called your shift pedal pinch bolt, so that your shifting mechanism comes through this hole, and there's a pinch arm that goes in there, but this bolt is removable. So this one here I didn't take out, I didn't move. I never have before, but that's a 10 foot-pound bolt right there. So if you take it out, 10 Newton meters, so just remember, if you put it back in, that's what that one is there. First thing we're going to do, and I'll go through these by actual name. This one's going to be your right crankshaft oil seal holder plate. That's a mouthful. We're going to go ahead and put that one in. We'll go ahead and get it started quick with the drill. And then that one is going to be 16 Newton meters or 11.8 foot-pounds. And there we go. Alright, so next we'll move on to the shift drum. It's just called your shift drum holder plate. And that one's going to be 8 Newton meters. So you can see it's kind of not flush, so the plate doesn't fit quite over those screw holes there. All you got to do is spin that main or clutch drive, and you see that spins down. So it was kind of halfway through gears, and we're good there. So that one's going to be, like I said, 8. So back to 5.16 foot-pounds. And there's one. Whoop. And 2. Alright. The last retainer screw is going to be your main shaft bearing retainer. That one's going to go here. Same thing. It's going to be 8 Newton meters or 5.16 foot-pounds. And we're good there. Alright, so that's it for your retainers. You should have 3. Your main gear, your clutch gear bearing, and your shift drum. Alright, the next thing, like I said, is going to be the shifting mechanism. So this first thing we're going to put on is the stopper arm. If you watch that last video, you see it just hooks onto this little arm here. And then this just hooks upside down there. And this just hooks around this little piece here. So that's going to slide into your drum. And it should hit those pins that you got there. And then you're going to use this shoulder bolt. And that's going to go right down in here. And we're going to call that the shift drum, stopper lever shoulder bolt. So this is our stopper lever, and just so you can see it, it's a little shouldered bolt. There we go. So it'll stop in there. And that one is going to be 14 Newton meters, which from our handy dandy sheet here is going to be 10.32 foot-pounds. And that's going to be a 10 millimeter. Let me double check that. It might be a 12. It is. It's a 12 millimeter nut. And we're going to go 14 Newton meters or 10.32 foot-pounds. And that was it there. Alright. So now we got that. We can go ahead and we're going to slap through our shifting lever here. It's going to come in here. The spring's going to sit on this nut. What do they call that? Shift pedal pinch bolt. So we'll go ahead and throw that in. We'll get the kickstart in, and then we'll do the main gear and torquing for the clutch. So let's get all that other stuff on and we'll cut up to the main gear. Alright, so next we're going to run on to our main gear, or some people call it the primary drive gear. We're going to go ahead and throw that all together, and that nut is going to be, that one's also going to be 50 Newton meters, and if I remember again, that was going to be 36 and change foot-pounds. So we'll get everything lined up here. Once again, if you want to check out all this stuff, these are on other videos too, so I'm not going to go through that. We'll just go through the torque. So we'll get all this back together, get the nut on, and we'll torque it down. So once we get all the primary or main gear, whatever you want to call it, we're going to torque this down. It's going to be 50 Newton meters or 36 and change foot-pounds. So we'll go ahead and get that. There we go. So we got that. Get our rag out of there. And next we'll go ahead and pop the clutch on here. And then we'll torque that one down as well. Once you get all your clutch components together, we're going to go ahead and torque that down. That one's going to be, again, 50 Newton meters, so same as the main gear here, or 36 and change foot-pounds. The problem here is you can't keep your rag in here and tighten this down because it's attached to the clutch boss. So when you rotate it, you see just the clutch boss moves. So what you have to do is get a spanner wrench in some of these holes here. I don't have one on me or anywhere nearby. So what we're going to do is use a couple long bolts here. And we're going to put a screwdriver through them, just like so. And we're going to tighten this guy down. Now, I don't really like this one at 50 foot-pounds I stripped one once before. I don't know if it was just a crappy bolt or what, but be very careful with this one. So here we go. Just feels like it just feels like something's gonna give and it's gonna be that bolt again. I had it happen, man, and I didn't. It bothered me. I'll probably let's turn it up here. So that torque there, actually, let me see it. There we go. It bent my two quote spanner wrenches. So let's get something else we can use to keep that solid. But like I said, I don't like to go crazy on that one. So maybe we'll get 2 screwdrivers and we'll go pretty tight and not all the way. Alright, so since we busted those, we're gonna go ahead and use screw adapters, drill bit adapters. Throw them into the holes. They shouldn't give way. Wrench socket back in there, and we'll just use a screwdriver here and give it a little weight. There we go. 50 foot-pounds. Kind of a pain, but that's it. So we'll go ahead and move to side cover, intake manifold, and then the other side cover, and we should be good. Alright, so now we got everything here. Next thing we're going to do is put on the right side crankcase cover. Give it a little makeover, not much. Just some little bit of high heat black paint. Get all the major scuffs. You can still see them in there. No big deal. My kid's probably going to crash it, and to be honest, I'll probably crash it trying to do something silly on it. So, go ahead and get the gasket set on. And then we'll throw it on. Make sure everything's set right. One last check in here, make sure you got everything. Make sure your kickstart has this on, this little washer. And we're good to go. Oh, missed one thing. Right there is a seal. So let's get that thrown in there quick. Alright, good thing for double checking. So we got that on. Get everything lined up again here. And one more once over, and we look good. So we'll go ahead and throw that on. And make sure everything lines up right. That should be good to go. So we'll go ahead and fit the screws on, bolts on, and then we'll put this last seal on. We should get on the right side. Alright, here's another part of that bolt set we got. So we're on the clutch side, or they call right side crankcase cover. That's going to use 7. 6 of them will be same size, and you got 1 solo there. That's going to be a bit longer. So the 6 are going to go along around the outside here, and the 1 longer one's going to come up here in front of this oil plug spot. So, not plug, but fill up dipstick spot. So that single one there, and the other 6 are going to go there. And those are going to go in at 12 Newton meters, or for the rest of us using foot-pounds, it's going to be 8.85 foot-pounds. So go ahead and throw those on. Alright, we've got them all in, so we'll go ahead and torque them down. Looks like we got a problem with that bottom one. Alright, so we got these other 6 in. We'll figure out what's wrong with this. I imagine the case here is probably stripped, but we'll check that out. Alright, I was able to find one of the old Phillips with the longer threads there to get down into that spot. So if you look there, it's just a little different than the rest. You got a Phillips and all the nice pretty Allen heads, but that's one thing you're going to come across when you're dealing with you know, old bikes from people who have been working on it and just torquing it down with their impact or just going crazy with it. So sometimes you might have to do what you got to do. If anyone's got any suggestions, maybe we could rethread that or fill it in, maybe use some helicoil or something, and then maybe we could get the nice Allen head back on there. But for now, that'll work. I was able to get it to grip, keep tight. So that's it for the right side crankcase cover. We'll go ahead and flip it over and do the left side. Alright, now we got it flipped over. We're going to go ahead and put what they call as the left side cover. On this one, there's no torque spec. According to the book, we're just going to tighten this one down securely. So we'll go ahead and just throw that on, get it down. We'll probably use that 8 to 10 foot-pound range. Nice and secure, but also not too loose where they're going to wiggle out. So we'll go ahead and get that down. You had 3 for the stator side, and then you had 2 for the protector. So the 3 are just going to go in here, one down here, one over here, and then the protector is going to have a short one sit right here, and the long one's going to sit right in here. So I'll flip it around, let you see that. Alright, we got that. Got them hand tight. I'm going to stop it a little short. I don't want to strip anything. And these ones don't need to be crazy tight either. So, like I said, the manual just says securely get these in place. So that's what we'll do. And that one made it because it's good solid. I think that was brass inside of there to capture that bolt. So now we got everything there. Last thing we're going to do is flip it over, and I'll give you the torque specs for the intake manifold here, and that'll be all. Alright, flip it up here. We got the intake manifold here. Again, 4 of the Allen heads, and we're going to go ahead and install these. There is no torque spec for these. The manual just says use some kind of sealant or locker on these bolts themselves. So we're just going to tighten them down. Again, I'm probably going to use that 8 to 10 pound range, and we'll keep them secure like that. There's 1. 2, 3, 4. That's good for me. So there's those 4. That's pretty much all the spec that you need for anything that we've done in this video. I'm not so sure how specific the torque specs were in the other video, so I'll run through those real quick. Here we got your oil pump section here. So those ones are going to be in at 8 Newton meters or 5 and change foot-pounds. So that is going to be here and here. These 2 are just the cover. And then your top end specs going to be 10 Newton meters or 8 and change foot-pounds for that spec. I don't do anything crazy for those. If you watch the top end video, I think I screwed it up anyway on what it should be. But like I said, that one's going to be 10 Newton meters or 8. I think it's 8 and change. Might be a shade under 8. Let me double check here. 7.38 foot-pounds. So not quite 8. So like I said, these ones here are going to be 8 Newton meters, 5 and some change, and these are going to be 10 Newton meters, which is just a shade over 7.38 foot-pounds. Alright, so that's going to do it on the PW80 engine torque spec video. I got a ton of comments on it, a ton of requests for it, so I was glad to get that one done. Plus I had an additional engine I needed to put back together. I'm gonna go over this kit real quick. Like I said, I think I mentioned it a few times, got it off eBay, about 25 to 30 bucks, but it was super helpful. On this bag, it gives you a website to use a PDF to find all the screws. If you use this, it doesn't work, but I did find, I believe it's European, it might be Australian, website that has a very similar kit. It probably is this. I might have just got it off their eBay website or eBay secondhand. Somebody sold it to me on eBay secondhand, but I'm gonna link it down below. That's gonna give you pictures of every bag, what's in every bag, and pictures of where they go on the engine. It actually has an exploded view, and it's gonna show you where every picture in each, or every bolt in each bag is gonna go on that engine. So that's really helpful. I'm going to go ahead and link that down below. Hopefully you'll be able to use that if you want to buy something like this. Even if you don't, it'll help you with all the bolts that you pulled out and remembering where they go if you just throw them all in one big bucket. But like I said, that'll do it for today. Next video, make sure you tune in. We're going to go on, the next request was tuning the PW80. So we're going to go ahead and tune it, and I'm going to show you a few tips and tricks that I do and that I've learned from other people after pulling out the oil pump. So thanks for tuning in, you guys. Go ahead and subscribe. Maybe we'll catch you on the next video. See ya.